Welcome to our members-only video series, where we interview a number of clients about the impact of shared ownership in their businesses. Come along to hear from owners and cooperators about their challenges and experiences.
Well, Gwen, thank you for agreeing to join me today to talk about your cooperative in the context of our International Year of Cooperatives interviews that hopefully remains as a long-term asset to support other cooperatives or other folks doing business in a different way. So Gwen, you work with the EMMA Technology Cooperative, and I sometimes go back and forth with y'all's names, so I'll let you correct me if you use it different or approach it differently, but tell me a little bit about you and your cooperative before we get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're correct. I work with the EMMA Technology Cooperative. That's the sort of full proper name. And yeah, so I've been it's called a creative technologist. So I build computer programs, but they're always a little bit funny. I've worked on like theme parks and installations, and sometimes it's just a funny looking website. But it's always a little more creative than, just I write a database for an insurance company. And so my cooperators, Ramsey and Andy, do the same kind of work. And we've all had sort of freelance careers prior to starting the co-op and decided that like working together would hopefully make the freelance life a little less chaotic, a little easier to manage. And so yeah, we started EMMA with the sort of express goal of making being a freelancer in this industry a little more bearable and a little more predictable. And I don't know, we're pushing 4 years in, and I've certainly found that it's very much been true. A lot of our assumptions, like, well, if we have more people, it'll be easier, have come true. It is actually proven to be correct.
That's awesome. What you could have chosen to be in this together as an LLC or any other more traditional business model. What inspired you to choose the co-op model instead?
Yeah, I think all of us kind of walked in with a sort of like, none of us want to have, like, we all kind of don't want to have a boss. And we've all sort of read enough literature to know that means we can't have employees. And so we kind of walked in with a little bit of, not to say the A word, but anti-capitalist instinct, and sort of a desire not to do just a traditional business where we could have investors and all of that. Like, obviously an LLC is not obligated to do that, but we kind of wanted to like formally close the door on that as an option. Like, we wanted to do this in a way that it's sort of not given to the proclivities of market capitalism as it is today.
Yeah. Were there any challenges or maybe opportunities that came from choosing that specific one?
Yeah, I mean, as for challenges, it's a lot of bureaucratic headache. It's a lot of the stuff we hire you to help us with. The laws are very complicated and the taxes are very complicated. Whereas, if you're just an LLC, it's a lot simpler, or at least it's just a thing a lot more people do. But the opportunities have been good. We've had chances to where like other co-ops specifically want to work with us because we're a cooperative. And even our more traditional, like more corporate clients will look at this and say, oh, this is actually great because we know, A, you're not going to just fall out of business in 2 weeks. But B, like, we know that if I get sick, Ramsey can pick up the work, right? They really like knowing that, like, it's not just a freelancer. You're hiring a little better than just a freelancer, but not necessarily needing to engage on like this is a formal business, like they have to contract for a full business relationship. And so we can kind of slot into a nice sort of position in between, a big traditional consultancy and just loose freelancers.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because more and more I see cooperatives collaborating in the US, growing in collaboration, which is always super exciting to see. But also more traditional businesses looking for, like, if we can't because we're stuck in this model, how can we maybe support folks doing it in a different way? And I'm seeing that with cooperatives. So I'm super glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Operating that way, what and I think you started describing some of the differences, but any maybe tell me some of the differences that you see in your experience with having more people participating in decision making, for example, right? Especially when we're thinking folks that would traditionally do the thing by themselves or have a boss, but maybe less inclined to, and now they're doing this together. Decision making, I think, I feel like could be a challenge or something to learn together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one everybody always asks about, is like, how do you make decisions? Truthfully, like in my experience thus far is our decisions have been universally better than what any individual one of us could have made alone. It's just so much easier when someone's there to catch you like, oh, but what if X? Like that, just even just having that could be really productive. But also, I mean, we kind of have a very specific idea that like we have no intention of having more than 8 employees. We would rather Emma get up to like, 5 or 6 people, and then like if 6 more people want to do it, it's like, well, maybe you need to start your own co-op.
Right.
Actually, we have an upper limit. We can't just grow forever. We're not going to be Mondragon. We don't want to be. And so, having a small number of people in there's like a sweet spot, right? Where it's like one person making a decision, really easy to make a mistake. 1,000 people trying to make a decision, very hard to coordinate. Like, I bet a dozen or less, you can actually hit a really nice sweet spot where it's like, no, we can actually just like sit down, figure things out, make a decision together, and understand the stakes of a given decision, and just kind of talk about it. A lot of people are like, well, what happens if one of those people wants to screw you? It's like, well, I wouldn't have started a worker cooperative with them. I sort of evaluated them preemptively. Yeah, no, but overall the decision making has been not a challenge for us. It's really, we've always been kind of on the same page of like what we're doing and why we're here. And additionally, we've always been pretty able to like work it out. And even if we have to like sit down in person for a few hours and like talk about all the like edges of this decision we're trying to make, like we've always been able to sit down and do that. And like I said, the decisions come out, like the choices we have made have come out to be better than I think we would have done alone.
And I love hearing that. It's so easy for groups exploring the cooperative model go to the place where they're worrying about now having to find out how the process works, and it can be laborious, but starting with the outcome, it's better, puts it in such a better place to, oh, we can do this together. It's a little harder maybe, and the outcome is going to be better.
If you walk in with that attitude of, we're going to do this, we're going to solve this problem together in a way that makes all of us happy, like if you walk in with that sort of mindset, you will pretty much always get there. I don't know, at least for the sake of like a business, there's not a lot of like emotion in running a consultancy, right? Like, I'm running a business here, I want to make a living and you want to make a living. Like there's not like nobody's getting upset about anything, and I think that also kind of makes the stakes a little lower.
Well, that sounds like a drama-free workplace too. So I love hearing that. So how being a relationship, a cooperative has impacted your relationships with the communities where you are? I heard a little bit about clients and other businesses, or maybe more other businesses, but impacted kind of the stakeholders that are around your club. Yeah,
for sure. I'm trying to think of good sort of experiences around this question. We get asked a lot about like what we're doing. And it's always very rewarding to have somebody be like, we want to start a co-op. Like they really want to do it, and be able to like tell them like, well, here's what we did. We can't really give you advice per se. We can tell you what happened to us. We can give you some bullets to dodge, but that's about it. But it's been very nice to have people just like approach us and like earnestly interested in what we're doing. And it's also afforded us opportunities to do sort of like work that wouldn't pay enough or be worth it enough for any of us to do. We worked on a arcade machine last year that lives currently in the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, but usually it's in a little bar where we all hang out. That's like an arcade bar, but all the games are indie games. And so there's like opportunities for us to like stretch our skill set, because we all, and Andy and Ramsey are more video game people than I am, but like we all work on video games. We obviously all play video games. We all live in the like New York video game community a little bit. And so we get to engage with that more just more than maybe we could alone, because I'm not constantly chasing the next paycheck. We can take it's like, yeah, well, we got paid $400 for that arcade game. We put a lot more work into it than $400. But it's okay because fundamentally, the point was not the money. The point was we're gonna have our co-op interact with the community, and that's just gonna be a nice thing to do. Ramsey has another co-op that's like a sandwich shop in his neighborhood. And they're very dedicated to having sliding scale prices. And at some point, I don't think it was quite pro bono. I think it was like $100 or something. They paid us to just build a physical slider for the sliding scale. Like they were just like, yeah, we just want to like have them be able to slide between. I mean, there's sort of philosophical arguments. It's like kind of awkward to talk to a cashier and pick a price and be like, I want to pay you $10 for this sandwich rather than 15. And so they kind of wanted to reduce that friction. So yeah, we get to like engage in co-ops in the community and other parts of the community in New York in ways that like, yeah, we could not possibly do it as freelancers. Like Ramsey, again, we get paid $100 for that. It isn't like it's nothing. But it's very cool that we got to do it. It's cool that it's there and that other co-ops get to exist, and sometimes we write them a little bit of software.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. And it does make me think of Mondragon. You're not it in terms of big picture ownership, but there's that collaboration that is just growing, and you're supporting each other with the skills that you have, which is super fun. You touched on kind of bullets to dodge. So can you tell me a little bit about some of those when it comes to being a cooperative, starting one? What are maybe top 3 that come to mind?
I think honestly, the top 3 are probably ones that apply to any business. It's like, okay, you got to make sure try to pay your taxes right. You're not going to do it right. You're not. But you will suffer consequences when you don't. So be prepared. Make sure you have all the correct insurances for your state. It's like, oh, well, New York has a very special insurance that we didn't know about because nobody knows about it because it's only in New York. Oops. And so then we had to go and get it like backdated to the beginning of our co-op and stuff to like get back into compliance. There's a lot of bureaucratic things like that, of like weird little tricks that we just could not have known because we've never run a business before. Yeah, I think that's most of them, is like, oh, well, make sure you get your FMLA insurance if you're in New York State, because if you don't have it, like you're gonna have to pay it back. And yeah, stuff like that. I'm trying to think. I feel like I had a list of them. Keeping good notes. We didn't, like when we very started, we didn't really keep good meeting notes. Like we would do it sometimes or informally, and it's like, no. Start with a format, like have everything written down of like who's there, what are you talking about, what's happening today. It's very important and is like categorically better. It took us about a year to realize we needed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are the big ones, honestly. Even like we had a member who started with us and like about a year and a half in realized it wasn't going to work out for him. And I wouldn't even call that a bullet to dodge. That was like, no, we needed to like, he needed to figure it out. We needed to figure it out. Like, there's no way I could advise anybody to like try to avoid that, because it's not worth trying to avoid that,
Now, that's maybe an example. Was that person full-on member, or
He was a founding member with so it was 4 of us to begin with. 1 person left. He left pretty much just because of money reasons. Like nobody gets super rich running a consultancy co-op.
Right. Yeah.
And he was supporting his parents, and he bought a house, and now he has a kid. And so he's like, yeah, I actually just need to collect as much dollars as possible, which is not always the most that wasn't the intention of our co-op, certainly. We're more like, you won't make the maximum amount of money, but you will make a much more stable amount of money. You will know how much money you're going to make, which can be a different sort of security.
No, I do appreciate that you went with, those are the same questions or issues that you have to think about with traditional businesses, because there is that aspect of a cooperative is still a traditional business. So like think like a business. There are frictions with having to find the right attorney and the right accountant, because not everybody knows about co-ops, and that you've experienced the challenges that come with it. But aside from that, you're running your business.
Yeah, you're still running a business. You still have to like make sure you're doing compliance, and like we got like a random thing. It's like, oh right, we have to do the like workplace harassment training because New York State requires that. It's like, there are 3 of us and we work from home. Like this is a little irrelevant. but just gotta do it, you know.
And the notices, right? We have this,
Yeah,
whatever's live page we have.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. How anything you wish you knew before starting your work with an attorney that would make collaboration easier?
Interesting. Yeah, I've never worked with an attorney for anything before this, so I really had no idea what it was like going in. I think the main advice I would have given my past self is like, yeah, do it more, actually. You will not regret it. And yeah, I mean, overall, our experience working with you has been great. But like I said, I've never worked with a different attorney before, so I have sort of a limited scope to answer this with. Yeah, I think do it more than you think you need, and try to come in with strong questions. I mean, we always try to come in with like, we know what we need out of the exchange. Like, I think that can be very productive. Anytime you're talking to like any vendor, like anybody who's doing a service for your business, is like, know what you need out of them and be able to tell them like, we need X, Y, and Z, right? If you're going in and we're like, we don't really know what the process is, like they won't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know your business best, right? So
Obviously.
being able to work through your operations and talk about them so that the attorney you're working with can best support you, because we might know the industry, but you do it in a certain way that may or may not be what we know.
And this is true for accountants too.
Right.
Definitely, yeah. They could tell you a lot about tax law, but they can't tell you about like, well, we had this one client who just paid us before we invoiced them, and now we have to like work that back. Those kind of catch outs are like, yeah, you gotta show up to them with what you need.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad to hear that we have not traumatized you with
No,
attorneys.
that was very helpful, like universally.
Were there any ways that our firm's cooperative values or approach has helped to your experience or helped shape your experience in the process of running a co-op?
Yeah, knowing that you are all like a corporate, I know you're technically a B Corp, but you're also doing more cooperative ways of working, like makes it a lot easier to explain what we're doing. Like if we try to just talk to like a regular lawyer, it's like, well, no, we want everybody to be an exactly equal owner. They're like, what are you talking about? What? No, 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 no. Like they kind of sort of balk at like the notion of it. And so being able to work with attorneys and other people like accountants and other service providers, like uh who know why we're at least a little bit of why we're doing this, like have some intuition for like, well, no, we don't want to just make a business, like we're not looking to just build a corporation. That can be really, yeah, it's very squishy. It's not like a easily defined thing, but it makes a big difference. Yeah, I think that's probably the most fun. And knowing that like, if you're not available, Jason can pick it up, and if Jason's not available, someone else can pick it up. Knowing that there's other people, like, I mean, we provide that to clients too. Like they know if Gwen's not around, Ramsey can pick it up. That works both ways. It's very helpful for us to be able to like not need one specific lawyer and be able to like ask for things from a group of people.
Yeah, we feel very lucky to have a team where our expertise is both complementary but also overlapping.
Yeah, a little bit of overlap.
That supports the clients in that way. So it's lovely to hear how that supports you. I think the final question for you. Any advice for people thinking about starting a cooperative or business owners considering selling theirs to their employees and making a conversion?
Yeah. Like you said, we've talked to a lot of people who are like prospectively want to start a co-op, and the piece of advice we give everybody is you can just start doing something, like just start meeting and talking about it, right? Like whatever it is your actual like work is, whatever you do to sort of produce money, just meet once a week and talk about that, and like have sort of the secondary thing of like, well, eventually we want to like formalize this and move the money into a business. But like, yeah, you can just start. You actually don't need permission from the government to just talk to other people who do the work you do. And it can be really, really, really productive. And it's a good way to sort of like start working together. Like I had not worked professionally with the people I started a cooperative with prior to starting a co-op. And so you need like some amount of like a thing you are working on together to actually like get you into it and understand how you work together. And if you work together, like be able to evaluate like, are these people I actually want to start a worker cooperative with, right? That's the time and the period where you're going to be able to do that best, because there's no money anywhere, there's no legal anything. If it all falls apart, like we all just put our hands up and everything's fine. Obviously, we were all sort of individual freelancers when we started this, so we all had like clients we were working with. We just continued our freelance world until we were able to like formally turn over and become a co-op. But I think that could work elsewhere too, right? If it's an owner trying to sell the business to the employees, like, all right, well, bring the employees in on like the actual decision making, and maybe they don't get the final say. Like, obviously, if you formally own the business, you have the final say, but like start asking them to make decisions and seeing how they conflict or don't conflict with your own. And just start trying to do the like governance part of it first, and then work out the money later, right? And the legal later.
Yeah, I love that. I love that that's where we landed, because you're right. That is, I see so many folks getting stuck with the legal super early.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes in a position where I have to tell clients, you're not ready for me yet. I'd love to work with you, but there are other things you can be working up to that place where you do need an attorney, but develop some relationship first, and then get to know each other there. And that's such a great place to start and to end. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the time and you sharing about your cooperative with us and our audience and our stakeholders. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for producing this interesting series and including us in it. Yeah, we're jazzed to be in it.